Thursday Night Tailgate, where the spotlight is always on the positive. Tune in Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time to hear your favorite NFL legends, players, and coaches sharing their stories. Now back to Chris and Bob.
I wouldn't joke about anything else that happens here tonight.
All right, and now joining us on the Kyvan Foods guest line is our good friend and TNT Hall of Famer, Ken Hamlin. Let me remind you about Ken's background. He is from Memphis, Tennessee. He played his college ball at the University of Arkansas. As a freshman, he was named All-American by the Sporting News and Football News. As a sophomore, he was named a second-team All-American by the NFL Draft Report. And as a junior, he was named first-team All-American again by the NFL Draft Report and the Sporting News and was nominated for the Jim Thorpe Award, which is awarded annually to the nation's top defensive back. He also became the first player in Arkansas history to record more than 100 tackles in 3 straight seasons. His senior year, he was nominated for the Bronco Nagurski Award, which is given annually to the nation's best defensive player. He was a second-round pick by the Seattle Seahawks in 2003, and he played in the NFL from 2003 to 2010 with the Seahawks, Cowboys, Colts, and Ravens. 2005, he was a member of the Seahawks when they made their first ever Super Bowl appearance back in Super Bowl 40. 2007, he was named to the Pro Bowl, and over the course of his career, he tallied 489 tackles, 15 interceptions, 5 sacks, forced 5 fumbles, and recovered 3 more. And we're excited he is back with us again tonight here on Thursday Night Tailgate. Hey, Ken, Chris, and Bob, thanks for coming back on the show.
Hey, Chris, Bob, my apologies for being late. I don't like being tardy to the party, whatever, so I apologize for that.
No worries, kid. So, Ken, I want to start our time with you tonight by getting your thoughts on your alma mater, the University of Arkansas. Your boys are 2-2 right now. They got a game at South Carolina this weekend, followed by a game at Alabama, and then they're back home against Auburn. How are you feeling about your Razorbacks?
I'm gonna keep everything positive this evening. So I'm gonna start by saying, well, you know what, we had some tough games. Of course the TCU game, the A&M game, but as we can see, those teams aren't just flukes. But at the same time, I feel like we could have played better. But we're coming to a game where I think that we need to start just being consistent, and I think that's the biggest thing. We have different times where we show that we can play the game a certain way, and then we come back and we play it a different way and don't have that same consistency that you would want a team to have. But guys are starting to make plays. I mean, we got some receivers that went down and guys stepped up and started making plays. Nance and Austin have been connecting. Defensively, we're starting to make a few plays. We're giving up too many big plays, but that's something that has to be corrected in order for us to start contending against a team like South Carolina, Alabama, and so on and so on. You know, when we have LSU and everybody else on a schedule like that, you got to start limiting all those big plays.
And Ken, go into another one of your former teams. Talk about the Seahawks a little bit. Their defense continues to be amongst the best in the league. Struggling a little bit against the run, but playing the pass really well. They got the Rams this week, so you got the 2-2 Seahawks going to the 3-1 Rams. If you'd have told me the Rams were 3-1 after 4 weeks, I would have been shocked. I think most of us would have been. How you feel about the Seahawks going up and playing the division-leading Rams?
Well, you know what? A tough defense versus an offense that, like you said, surprisingly is a tough offense. You got Todd Gurley running the ball real well. You got receivers, not just Sammy Watkins, but you got other receivers that are catching the ball. I mean, Goff is throwing the ball up for him to go make plays. So he's making it difficult because this team is, I won't say that they are already there to being like a St. Louis Rams team that was the toughest team to really guard, but they're making plays and they're putting up yards like it. And but Seattle has a defense that has a lot of pride. Those guys come out and fly around and make plays. And, 2 safeties that are, if not the best 2 safeties, they are up there with the best 2 safeties in the game right now. Still having a front and a linebacker core that can still make plays. So it's going to be a tough and interesting game because I feel like they sort of cancel each other out. So now it's all depending on what is the running game for the Seahawks going to do and what is the defense for the Rams going to do. And they do have a pretty respectful defense as well.
So your 2 former pro teams face off against each other later this year. Cowboys, Seahawks go at each other on Christmas Eve. So Which team are you going to be rooting for to have a Merry Christmas?
I'm going to be hoping both teams have a Merry Christmas, but for the game, it's going to be interesting to see because I love good defense. So you know what you're going to get out of Seattle. You know, I would love to see Dallas's defense play better. The game is going to be interesting because I think that, of course, you know, Seattle's been giving up a little bit on the run. You got a guy like Zeke who can run the ball real well. I'm going to just I'm just going to enjoy watching the game. I'm not going to pick any sides on that day. But if I do have some fantasy guys on that team in that game, then I might be leaning one way or the other. Right now, I don't, so we'll just have to wait and see on that.
Bob, questions for Ken?
Ken, it's great to speak with you again. You know, I looked back on the 2003 draft, and you were a top 50 player there. I think there were 7 or 8 DBs that were taken in front of you, but just wanted to know when that draft was going down, Ken, your expectations, did you have any idea you'd go in high in the second round? Tell us about that day as a whole.
Well, I really didn't know what to expect early in the draft. I know my agent had heard from Buffalo in the first round, but you never know until they actually call your name what's going to happen. They ended up taking Willis McGahee, who was coming off of a crazy knee injury, and he rehabbed real well, and they ended up taking him with that 23rd pick, I believe, and So from that point on, I really just relaxed and sat back and I enjoyed the process, but at the same time, I ended up putting my phone on vibrate and put it on my chest, and I laid back and fell asleep because I really didn't want to stress about it. I really didn't want to have to worry what was going to happen. I was hopeful, and I think that I put in enough work to be drafted early, but I didn't know what was going to happen. And I was just grateful that I got the call from Seattle. They saw something in me that they wanted to put with the guys they were bringing in, like Trufant and everybody else they were bringing in for the defense to change things up a little bit. And, once I got drafted, that was that sense of relief. But at the same time, it was a sense of, okay, now you got to really put in the work because now you got to show them what they drafted. You got to show them that they didn't make a mistake. And you got to also show the guys that didn't draft you that they made a mistake and that they should have took a chance on you. But so I was just going out with a little bit of chip on my shoulder, but at the same time, just happy to be playing ball, happy to be out there playing with some guys that wanted to make a difference on that defense and on that team.
And playing for your first coach, Mike Holmgren, Ken, who was known for years back in the Green Bay days for his offensive prowess, and here you are, defensive player, going under the system of Ray Rhodes, who's another defensive guru. But as far as having an offensive coach like Holmgren as a head coach, how is your relationship with him and your memories of him as a coach?
We used to rub each other a certain way. We used to rub each other wrong a little bit every now and then. But I loved him. I loved him as a coach. He was I would say he was one of the last of the old school type of coaches. When he spoke, he meant what he was saying, but at the same time, he wasn't a rah-rah guy. He would always say that if I had to get you up for a game, then you already lost. So the one thing with him is that you know what you're going to get out of him, and I can respect that, regardless if he's being tough or he's being a little bit softer. If you know what you're going to get from a guy, I can respect it because he's being himself, and so I could be myself around him as well. And we had plenty of laughs. We had plenty of laughs at the same time. He knew that he was allowed, and I would allow him to coach me the way that he saw that it would make me a better player.
And Ken, when you were in Seattle, you played alongside another one of our favorite guests here on the show, Chad Brown. And Chad joined us on the show last week. What do you remember about playing alongside Chad?
Oh, Chad. I mean, one thing I can say was that Chad had this spin move, and he would always play linebacker first, second down, and go to defensive end on third down. And I could never understand why the offensive players would never pick up on this spin move. It just seemed like it was so elementary, but it couldn't have been because he would always get to the quarterback. It just seemed like he was always there. So, I mean, versatile guy, could play the game. I mean, from the defensive end to the linebacker position, didn't have to come off the field. A leader in his own way. He wasn't that big of a talker, but his game spoke for itself. And I love playing with him. I love being on that side of him rather than playing against him, because the guy was definitely a threat when he was out there on the field.
And Ken, you got a pick against Tom Brady back in a game in 2010 when you were with the Ravens. So curious, is that highlight looping on a TV somewhere so when the fellas come over they could check that out?
No, that one there was one of those end of the half. And now I don't discredit any of my interceptions now, but I had a few more that were pretty good as well. But Tom Brady, I mean, I'll take an incompletion or going against Tom Brady any day. I mean, whether it's a pick or incomplete, I'll take it because the guy can play the game. But you know what? I've had some pretty good games where I've got a few picks here and there, and that sort of still bring back some good memories. And of course, playing against Tom Brady is always fun. I played against him when we were in Dallas, and I think that was a real competitive, real good game, especially when he had Randy Moss. He had Randy Moss back there as well.
When you think about some of the picks that you had, and you had 2 in a game against Eli, and you've had a couple of multi-interception games, which ones stick out? Which ones still bring a smile to your face?
Well, I think the Eli game. I mean, because I played against Eli since college, and so we sort of had a quiet rivalry of having to face each other. So I think that was those picks. Him coming and playing in Seattle, or we playing against him in Dallas. So I got to see him a lot, and he was pretty generous. So I mean, I appreciate all the ones he threw up for me to take advantage of, man. But those games are always memorable because they were divisional games when I was in Dallas, and those were the real hard fought games.
So Ken, remind our listeners what you're doing now.
So now I'm actually at one of our little barbecue outings. I'm a partner with an anti-aging company, Miriam, and a $1 billion company that's only been around 6 years. I'm actually so I've been traveling and just exposing and sharing information with people, and just I still try to live a healthy life. So Miriam has different products and different things that actually help me live that healthy life. I'm also doing the pregame show for the Arkansas Razorbacks on Cox, so with Cox Sports. So I get to do that every week. So I get to see my team, good or bad. But hopefully it's going to be a lot more good than bad in the near future. So I get to talk about them and really get back into Arkansas football, which is great because I love being able to get back to the campus, being able to see some of the younger guys and really get familiar with some of the younger guys that are playing the game, and that allows me to do that as well.
That's great stuff. Ken, let our listeners know how they can follow you both online and over social media.
Social media, you can find me Twitter, Instagram, Ken_Hamlin. Of course, on Facebook, just Ken Hamlin. And also my website is KenHamlinAntiaging.com. But yeah, I mean, you find me, definitely follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's a lot of great things I'm about to get going, and just sort of shining some more happiness and bright lights on what's going on around me and with other people as well.
There you go. Ken, thanks so much for your time tonight, my friend. It's always good for us to get the opportunity to catch up with you and have you as part of the show. Hope you'll come back and do it again real soon.
Yes, indeed. I appreciate you taking the time with me.
All right. Take care, Ken.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Good night.
That is former Cowboys and Seahawks defensive back Ken Hamlin, and Bob, the picture that I posted up on Twitter, the shot that he gave to one of the guys, playing for the Saints. What an unbelievable hitter! That's why he got the nickname the Hammer. An unbelievably good player back in the day.
That's true, Chris. 8 or 9 good seasons. A very steady guy, too. Played a lot of games. And next time we'll talk more about his days in Dallas. He has some great stories there also.
Yes, he does.